Hey, Warrior Saints. Glad to have you beautiful people with us as we continue our conversation from yesterday. So, wrapping it all back around to, I mean, at no point, and I know we're going to get silly hate. Okay, fine. At no point.
Especially for that last comment.
Yeah. At no point in any way should anyone ever think that we are, in some sense, anti the patristic corpus, or, against the fathers. That's not the case. We've never said it. The challenge is what we're dealing with in this, modern context with there's a lot of people out there speaking, as are we. There's a lot of YouTube out there, where you can find, and the Google will give you all kinds of good stuff, right? So it's become, and there are people who are, it cracks me up. I can't believe this, but who are Orthodox Christians, but have never been in an Orthodox church. So, I mean, it's a funny, funky world we're dealing with out there. So with all of that being said, it is our duty to make sure that we, at least to our audience, are teaching, properly. And, the fathers, I wouldn't say should be read. I would say must be read.
Yeah.
But they must be read properly, not according to, the weird guruism that's going on out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's where we're at. It's where we should be going. Well said. This has been a fun discussion.
I've enjoyed it.
I have
too. Who's your favorite father? Ready, go.
John of Damascus.
Oh, wow.
I don't know why that would come as a shock to you.
I guess I should have known that.
Yeah, I mean, he's
why?
The man. The majority of the hymnography that we sing in the church came from him. The way that he writes in that systematized way is phenomenal. I took a class that was specifically on the theology of John of Damascus when I was in seminary, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it, and I fell in love with his teachings and with the work that he did. I mean, so much that he's my son's patron saint. There was no question in my mind what we were naming Jonathan and who his patron saint was going to be, because John of Damascus is he's baller, man. And he was the first person to write Byzantine music. I mean, he not only wrote the hymnography, he started writing the music itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he systematized things into an system of 8 tones. And because he got tired of his music being sung to the modern, his texts being sung to like the modern music at his time. So it would be like walking into church and hearing Baby, Baby, Baby by Justin Bieber, but with the words by John of
Holy,
Damascus.
holy, holy.
Lord of
That's sacrilege.
Yeah, no, we're not going to go there. I'm not gonna
Why did you even start that?
Who's your favorite
My
father?
favorite father. Well, I think clearly Chrysostom is inimitable. I mean, there's none like him. He is the great exegete. So I do love him. But I think if you pinned me down and said I had to pick one, I think I might go with Ignatius of Antioch.
Yeah.
Even if he may not have technically fallen in the parameters of, of what some would define fathers. Yeah, he's an apostolic father. Yeah. I just think what makes me like St. Ignatius so much is that the dude was so all in.
Yeah.
Like, he's in a cage, they're wheeling him to, be fed to the lions, and his people come and sneak him out. And he's like, nope, don't take us from me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's awesome. I mean, not that he was martyred. I mean, thank God for his sake and his salvation that he, but like, I'm not making fun that I'm saying that kind of dedication, witness, that martyrdom, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, martyria, like that is, God, I wish I had that kind of half that dedication. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's why I would have to default to St. Ignatius.
I think it's a good one to default to. I mean, he is the epitome of crucifixional living in the fact that he says it's never anything. In his writing, in his letter to the Romans, as you're referencing, he says that only when he goes to the lion's den will he actually have earned the name of Christian. Right. Only then will he actually be a disciple of Christ. Right. Like, it's not something that you ever graduate from. Right. This crucifixional living is a lifelong struggle.
Yeah.
And he witnesses to that in his martyrdom. It's beautiful.
So I don't know if we want to end here, but you triggered a great thought. I mean, let's just keep going down the rabbit hole for as long, but St. Ignatius, the great saint, would not allow himself to be called a Christian. He recognized that somehow he had to earn that title through his martyrdom, and that after his death, he would be declared by the church or individuals or whatever, who I don't know how it worked back then, he would be declared as a Christian. And I think that's the model. And one of the things that we want to share with our peoples, like, we don't get to say, you're not Orthodox. You are declared Orthodox.
Well,
and not by yourself. That's the key.
I think that's the hugest key, because it's what we were talking about last week with the epistle to the Romans. We're given that path and we're set on that path from the outset, and then we have to earn the ability to stay on that path. We have to learn the right to stay in the household. Right. We have to earn by walking with God, by following his commandments, by doing what we are commanded to do. They're called commandments, that we keep getting out there and doing the business. And only then are we actually able to be declared. And that declaration comes after our death. And that declaration comes not by us.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's the point I'm going at. It's not that you and I can even declare another person as a father. It has to be, like we talked about it earlier. Arius was, assuming it all happened as it was supposed to. He was baptized and chrismated as a child, or at some point in his life. So he received the sacraments. He received Holy Communion. He was ordained a priest. He was a priest in Alexandria. And he said things, right? Like he wrote and he said that the second person of the Trinity was, at one point was not, and then was, right? Okay, so the church got all up in arms about that, and they came together and declared him to be outside the bounds of the teachings. He was kicked out, right? Even though you would, again, I don't know the history well enough, but you would assume that his ordination was valid, right? But so he spoke and was thrust out. Conversely, we talked a lot about St. Basil. He wrote a book on the Holy Spirit, and the church later declared him to be within the proper teachings, and he's declared a saint and a father. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, It's not the person who individually gets to say to themselves, I'm a father, which I don't think anybody does. I hope nobody does that. But it's also that, I guess the point is that the entire church has to recognize that and, witness to that.
Yeah, even their titles are posthumous. And what I mean by that is Basil didn't sit down one day with his computer, open up Microsoft Word, have a blank white screen, and he wrote at the top, on the Holy Spirit, and then he sat and he wrote. He delivered a sermon that at some point was recorded and written down, and then later a title was given to it of On the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
These things are later, right? Like Abraham is declared righteous in Genesis by God. He doesn't declare himself, hi, I'm righteous Abraham, it's good to meet you. Like, he's not walking around introducing himself that way. It's a declaration that happens because of the way that he lived. The fathers, because of what they wrote and how they wrote and when they wrote, were later called the fathers.
Right.
And their stuff was gathered together, their writings. At some point, modern day stuff might eventually be declared something. But we don't today get to make the decision of where that stands in the annals of history. That comes later. Just like George Washington didn't know he was going to be the father of the American Revolution. He just was standing up for what he believed in at the time, and later history referred to him as the father of the American Revolution.
So what do you do? I'm going to change gears. Hey, Warrior Saints, thank you so much for being with us. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and share. It helps us get the word out there. And if you want more, visit us at warriorsaints.org and subscribe to Understanding the Bible. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.